Hey guys, Joshua Peterson here, Peterson Electric. A lot of you that follow me remember a video 5 years ago from Centennial. Can't say her name, but she had the neutral issue, and it was the sunroom on the back, and we had to retrench, and a lot of you guys didn't get to see that extra video. I am actually back here again 5 years later. I never get to see the finished product too when a guy comes in and fixes it. So I'll show you a video on that here in a little bit. But I came back out because she got siding put on, and she was really concerned about the fact that the siders were here, and the next thing you know, the ceiling fan went out. So in my head, I'm thinking, no, 23 years of wiring, switches are on the inside of the house for the legs going to the fan. Sure enough, it was just one of those module kits for that help dim an incandescent light kit. So we just popped that out, put a wire nut, cut that out, and it was fine. It was good to go. But this is a little bit more different. She said, well, I'm having an issue with if I turn off a switch or a light that everything's flickering. Well, this is not a switched outlet, just so you know. It is part of the same circuit. Very awkward, though, to have a light or a switch affecting it. This house is not old enough where all the power's in the ceiling of the box up above and switch looping down. Basically, it means that power's going through the walls and switch legs up. So I know that it's not a power leg from the ceiling fan coming down to the outlet. But this is what you call an antenna. So a lot of you guys are aware of those antennas that are in the attic, and we're trying to put in can lights, and they have 50,000 little aluminum beams off of there that we're trying to go and move around, and they keep stabbing you. Well, they've gone away from that, of course. And this is going to be more of a coax piece that she sticks right there in the vinyl of her window. Now, here's what's real interesting. The complaint is that when I hit a light switch, my sound cuts out my TV. And then if I hit a lighter, it cuts out. So here, I'll show you.
We really do, Dave, but there is another in Denver, lifetime win.
I'm going to try not to affect it since I am moving it. I'll put it back to where I found it when I got here.
They're also the #1 contractor in Colorado. Durability to protect your home and hold lasting beauty.
Get 20% off window siding and installation.
And there's more. How about no interest and no payments until 2020?
Lifetime Windows and Siding,
Okay, I'll try to
Denver's
turn
most
that down
trusted
just a
window
little
and
bit.
siding company.
I'm attorney Frank Azar, the strong arm. The insurance companies are not on your side, but I am.
When Frank calls, they know it's serious. He got me 100.
So I'll hit this light switch here, and I got to leave the volume up so you can see this. Now here's a three-way over here that has nothing to do with this circuit, because this is a switch leg. The power's down there for the living room. Go ahead and watch there.
When Chris and Jessica have been drinking, they become very
Not too bad on that, actually, but I did see it do that. Okay, now
One time I opened the door to tell them to please stop fighting. All of a sudden I that Jessica was my granddaughter covers. It was like just
so in over 2 decades of wiring, I've never seen that in my
and she was
life.
holding tight around her.
I immediately came in and I just took our granddaughter away. Days after this incident, she
So the only thing,
Papa, why did
there's a couple things in mind here. One thing is, a lady said to me a few years ago, have you ever heard of a smog meter? I thought she was nuts, and I said, oh, sure. And so I got online. Sure enough, there was a smog meter. And I haven't bought one yet, but she actually let me use it. And I went around to different items in her house, and sure enough, the microwave turned on where it like hit this barometer on, or whatever you want to call it. The needle just went sky high, and it would show that it was putting off a lot of EFMs. Then I went to an incandescent light bulb, and it showed quite a bit, and I went to LED, and it wasn't as much. So definitely different appliances and different motors. These are called loads, so we can have harmonic loads. You can have motor loads, incandescent loads. You can have linear loads and non-linear loads, which will be like a ballast basically for some lighting. But in here in a residential situation, this is actually making it cut out. If you guys ever heard of a lightning switch, it uses a bandwidth when you snap the switch, and you have to hit it in a certain spot. But once it snaps, it sounds almost like using an RF technology. Not quite RF, because RF would be a battery operated, but when you hit the switch, it's going to make a sound, and it's probably more like a sound wave. But the lightning switch design is to communicate to hit strike, and if you don't hit that switch just right, it doesn't work. Well, that switch doesn't have any power, doesn't have a battery, doesn't have anything. It's just a bandwidth inside there that snaps when you hit it. So this is fairly similar. When you're snapping this to make a sound, the TV is being interrupted. I personally think that something in this pad, which is her antenna, and I've never seen one of those, is affecting it, and that was what we would call an EMF, or electrical magnetic field. That would be true if it was just the electrical ceiling fan and or the things plugged in, but when I'm using this and using just a switch sound, and you can see this affected as the screen cuts out, the sound was cutting out at the same time. Again, if you have any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear it, because this is the first time I've ever used a lighter to this. But a lot of you guys said, our house had, just call a priest. It's got some poltergeist issues. I'm starting to wonder. Thanks, guys.